Um, Good morning, everybody. This is the April 18th edition of the Apply Working Group sync meeting. And today we're meeting on Wednesday. Next week we'll go back to Tuesday. If you have a better idea what day to meet, say something on the mailing list. Okay, I'm going to share my screen if I can find it. I have a lot of Chrome tabs. I think this is the right one. Chrome windows. Okay, so let's see. We had a lot of discussion here, so I think we'll be executing a little faster next week. But we can read.
You're not sharing, are you?
I am. I'm sorry, I'm not sharing up to that window. That is a lot of stuff.
Oh, is it too hard?
It's easier if I just go in here.
Forget it.
You can follow along on the, or I can turn my laptop. Let's see. Just briefly, let's go through what we've got here, and
I'm sure. Keep going.
Oh, okay. So finish collecting test vectors. We decided not to actually do that like the day after we decided to do it. So I'm gonna pull that as out. Is that what we do when we pull it out? Well, I'm running the spreadsheet, so I'm saying we're pulling it out. Placeholder for OpenAPI validation. We made progress. It's not merged, but I expect to see something in the next day or two, maybe later today. Patch handler accepts a new content type. We didn't quite get there, did we?
I'm looking at it.
Looking at it, yeah.
I'm terrified.
But yeah. Okay, sounds good. The metadata change PR, that did happen, right?
Yeah, that's
I merged that, right? Yeah, okay. So that's done in sprint 3. I feel like we did something else too. Did we do something else? I merged 2 PRs from you, I thought. Or was one of them in the previous?
No, one was before. And then you rebased.
Yeah, I rebased a few times. I don't know. It seems like cheating to give myself points for rebasing. It was like 3 buttons. The hardest part about rebasing is coming up with something clever to say in Kubernetes dev in response to the bot warning everybody that I pushed manually.
Interesting, yeah. That's a bug. Whatever.
Okay. So let's see.
What's the scope of the patch handler accepts a new content type? Because it's very easy to say to add the new content type to the list and then have the code.
Well, it's in a feature branch, so I would say scope it as small as you can to make progress.
Yeah, but it's very easy to come in, but then there is this big wall that we're gonna hit very, very fast.
Yeah. So do we want to chip a piece off of the wall? And
so I don't know how to proceed though. I'm trying to rename variables right now because they make no sense. Mostly.
Would adding or moving tests around make it easier to make progress?
I'm curious.
Would having me look over your shoulder and say humorous things help?
I don't know how much confidence you have about this code. Like
Well,
if you were like very confident that we can make changes, for some reasons, I don't know how you would be confident, but if you had that confidence, yeah, but since I don't know how you can be confident, I don't think that can be useful. I mean, we can make a change together, but you're gonna be thinking the same thing I do, which is, how do I know this is gonna work?
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes I look at pieces of code and I just know things.
Okay.
Can we refactor it to make it easier to test?
Yeah, I was thinking about that last night, and it seems like if we make a refactoring and it is improving things and making it more testable,
and it's on a feature branch,
then maybe that doesn't and shouldn't go on a feature branch. And, I mean, we can always rebase
Right,
I'm
I don't
already
disagree
pulling
with
master
that.
back into the feature branch. If we're making stuff that is pure refactoring, no implementation changes whatsoever, and makes it more tested, but like restructures the code, like that actually makes our lives harder if we go to reintegrate. So
And everybody could benefit from that anyway.
and everybody would like that anyway.
Yeah, I'd be happy to make this change outside the feature branch.
Yeah, refactoring is one of those things where I've never found it useful to give a plan in advance. It's like just start making changes.
So
like,
a habit hole anyway.
Yeah. I when I start doing things like that, I quickly I start improving one thing and I find something that's even more broken. So then I work on improving that, and then I find a third thing that's even more broken than that. So it's easy to make it really big, but I think if you start a separate commit for each layer down the rabbit hole you go, then it's easier to have things to.
My problem with this code is I barely know what the inputs are. I certainly don't know what the outputs are.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what path the code is taking. I don't have any idea what the path the code takes. So even if I wanted to add an up, if we do apply, just don't do anything, I can't even do that because the code is such a mess that I don't know what's going to be executed in what order and to what purpose, which makes it very hard to refactor and very hard to test because I can say, given these inputs, I expect these outputs. I don't know what is an input and an output. There is 15 parameters to the function.
19 parameters.
19 actually. Some are inputs, some are outputs. Some are maybe inputs that are modified. I don't know. Insanely difficult.
Yeah. Actually,
maybe you know about that.
I do. I wrote a lot of it in the first place, but it changed a lot since I last touched it. But I bet if I sat down and looked at it, I would remember things.
Yeah, we could look at it together. Yeah.
That might be useful for both of us.
Yeah. Just for the record, I'm not blaming anyone. I know that these pieces of code are built incrementally bad.
I would have done things differently if we did it over, but we did the best we could given huge velocity and limited people and everybody just doing reasonable things. And like at one point we added this operation type and then we took it back out, but we left in the finish the operation up in a go routine logic.
Yeah.
So. But we should avoid refactoring the world if we can.
Yeah. The good thing is that even if it's very complicated and hard to understand, it's quite small, and it seems to be self-contained enough that it shouldn't be too deep of a habit hole. We'll see.
All right. Yeah. Let's take some. My schedule's pretty open today, so
awesome.
And I'm pretty sure I'm not contagious anymore. So.
Is there anyone from outside?
Yeah, there's
the video.
YouTube. Someone named Julian. Hi, Julian.
Hi there.
Okay, so let's start putting stuff in this sprint. Let's have a better name for this. You're adding allow multi, because that was just a placeholder. Allow multi-value
extensions. So the list stuff is pretty much done. I'm going to move on to the map. I've actually, just to test stuff, I've modified a bunch of these types to use these new and see what the swagger looks like. Looks fine. So yeah, I think this multi-value is necessary for lists, and I think that maps hopefully should be straightforward as long as we're putting it in. So I know that you mentioned something about whether it was being put on the field or on the struct for at least the place for a particular tag.
Oh, yeah.
So aside from that complexity, the map stuff should be pretty straightforward. Then there's struct, and then I think union is where it's going to be.
Yeah,
slightly-
union is complicated.
Okay, about
what do you
union.
what do you think about there's some place where you're g-logging some errors in the current work. What do you think about as a next step, turning those into like
real
compiler
files.
style error outputs? I
So-
believe
so-
the Django mechanism should let you do that.
Right. So what I mentioned was that right now the generate extensions function just takes an array of strings, which are the comment lines, and so there'll be some slight refactoring to make the more the other type members available to be able to use
Yeah.
that. I didn't see anything for source files. I did see it for packages. I missed it, but
Yeah, I thought the way it worked was if you I'll have to refresh my memory. Maybe we can look at some of the other generators. I just like if you're
I think
adding in
that's a great
parallel
idea.
more stuff
I think
more
that-
stuff here. I thought it might be less work in total to fix the error return and then add all the additional errors.
Yeah. So you think that that's more productive than going on to the new map type and getting that available for?
I think it'll be less total change if you do it in that order, but I don't.
Then that's what I'll do.
Right, like right now there's like 2 log messages, but if we add a bunch more, then there'll be like 50 log messages that all need to be turned into real errors.
I'll dig into that.
Yeah, it's just an
I'd
idea.
like your help actually then about how to.
Yeah.
Whatever background you have on this Django.
Yeah, maybe I should do a little bit
mechanism.
of research. Okay. Gen API, gen error. I'm still going to say this doesn't need a feature branch. Complexity, I think it's going to be like a 5 or.
Yeah, sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
So you don't want this on the feature branch? Because
Yeah, we went back and forth. Sean and I swapped positions on whether we should do a feature branch here, which is amusing. Yeah, yeah, it seems like the existing code also wasn't giving, like it didn't validate that the value was anything in particular, right?
No, so that's
Yes,
why
the
I
existing-
wanted to just log it initially.
Yeah.
Was I didn't want to change any of
Yeah.
the functionality that exists.
Yeah, no, I mean, my goal is like more people than Medi end up in owners. So act like you own the place and like you got to live with this code.
Yeah, I mean, sounds good.
Okay, and
Yeah, you should move these 9.
yeah, so you're going to continue working on this, but we're probably going to scope this in some way.
So what's the goal?
Refactoring for better testability. So a decent unit test, I think, should be a goal.
Having unit tests for the batch handler would be sweet. I don't know if it's gonna be easy though.
It's probably not going to be well.
Because
So I
the
I
inputs and
think
outputs are like
so I think the way this stuff is tested is that somewhere there is we have this registry subtree in our code with a bunch of
Yeah.
different objects, and underneath that it makes like strategies, and then somewhere there's a generic strategy. And I think the way it is tested is that in some concrete like object, it runs through the whole strategy stack up through the patch handler
Right.
and back and tests it that way. This is to be clear, not a way I would prefer
okay,
it
but
to be
that's
tested.
interesting because we could start from there, see what's going to be passed as a parameter to this function, and just copy that and make a test, which is going to be, I mean, it's not going to add any value since we already have that path,
Yeah,
but we would have a test that is much closer to what we want to test, and then we can extend on that
yeah.
more easily, I think.
I mean, something like you said is a function with 19 parameters.
Yeah.
So any function with more than like, I don't know, 5 parameters, I prefer to make, maybe even 5 is too many. I prefer to make like an option struct that
Yeah,
makes
these
it,
are not options though, but yeah.
So so it doesn't look like there's any
Like it shouldn't be.
abstractions
Yeah,
yet.
it should not be. It should not be a single function with that many parameters. That is describing an object, like an object with a series of actions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we all agree.
Okay. Placeholder.
So instead of the placeholder, can we say add some test
Yeah. That's
as one step? Another step could be start changing the code. Add one test, add multiple tests. If start refactoring the code. Plus, we know where we're going. We know that the goal is to have. The problem is with this code also is that it's very hard to understand what it's trying to do because it mixes the intent and the actual how. It mixes the what and the how. So what is it doing? You don't know. You know how it's done, but you don't know what it's doing. This is one good thing about encapsulation in general.
Yeah.
Like you say, you call a function that is do this, and then you call a function that says do that. But you know what it does. It does this and that. Right now you have all the code in one place, and so
It's a bunch of closures that
yeah.
are callbacks that are difficult to follow the code paths mentally.
Let's see, and we left.
It's unclear what Jenny is doing here.
Yeah. Jenny's next on the list here. But we were asking her to wire OpenAPI into the OpenAPI spec.
If you go below, you have an item for that, I think. You have an item for the spec for line. What did you do? Yeah, line 40.
Oh, yes.
It's already been copied in there? Yeah, that's exactly what's been copied into 19.
Okay.
Oh, is it 19?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
sorry,
think
my
Jenny-
mistake.
Jenny,
I missed that.
yeah, I think probably is a good word. I'm actually going to say
Wait,
for
yeah.
adding tests and refactoring for understandability, like significant refactors probably are best not in the feature branch.
Yeah, and once again, it's not.
Because rearrangement
It has nothing to do with the
And
these
not only
code.
that,
Yeah.
merging it back in with somebody actually doing a change would be a nightmare.
Yeah. So, and this is a good reason to make sure your PRs are either 100% refactoring with zero net change
Yeah.
or 100% new, and never mix the two.
Yeah.
Which is much easier to do when you've got tests to give you
Yeah.
confidence that you didn't break anything.
Yeah.
Finish describing OpenAPI extension tags. Line 28. Yeah.
That was the union stuff. So I was
Can we re-specify then?
Yeah.
Because I think only the union is not done.
Describing.
So
I'll just say describe.
finish designing the union.
Sure.
What is this line 29?
Finish building out the associative keys tag and key book. I think that was the one that we
that's
decided
right.
was basically a duplicate last time.
Yeah.
I'll just delete it.
Okay.
That's just the set. The list type equals set.
Yeah. So that's kind of, this is done, actually, or whatever.
Do you think you'll actually get around to looking at the extension tags or the union?
No.
No.
Okay, cool. Okay, I think that is probably plenty for a week. Anyone disagree with that?
That's good.
Okay, and so I think I owe all three of you some sit down, look at code together time. And my schedule's open today, so okay, cool. Anything else?
I just want to be clear on this PR. where we've been going back and forth on whether it's a feature branch. Now we don't want it on a feature branch for this multi-value extensions.
Yeah, this is for the Open API, the Cube Open API repo, not the main repo.
Correct.
Yeah, I think it's okay for this to go in master. Yeah. Just if we can keep the to-dos up to date with what we intended to change, then I think it's okay. And if we have really big things we want to change, then an issue is probably good. But I don't think opening up 50 issues for little tiny things
for all the to-dos was a little heavyweight.
I think to-dos are. Yeah, it definitely needs one or the other. Otherwise, people reading it for the first time won't have any context.
Yeah. And if we do our job, those to-dos are going to be gone in a couple weeks.
And we just need to be very careful about what we make public.
Right. So I'll make that extension struct.
Yeah, that was a good point.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mostly care about like integration points and APIs and how the sausage is made under the hood. I'll try not to have too many opinions about, but yeah, APIs and public things are hard to get rid of once they're introduced. So try to keep that to a minimum. Okay, let's call it another sprint.
So this